The upgrades are out for the Hungary Grand Prix. Everything is coming out for Thursday. So we're getting all the images, we're getting everything. Red Bull has brought insanely really cool changes that we will talk about, but a lot of teams have also brought different changes. Let's first talk about the rear wings on the cars. So obviously, like every single really race of the season, we're always going to get different stuff. But for this race, we're getting big boys. We're getting the big downforce wings. Looking at Alpine, Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren at the moment. As of right now, that Mercedes wing is a bit different, and I will talk about it very soon. But looking at the wings, they're all very big, they're very lengthy. The actual McLaren wing is probably the least amount of downforce on it, which to me comes as a big shock, but they've always had a big wing throughout the whole entire season, so it also doesn't come to a shock. Their rear stability has not been that great. Mercedes has changed a couple of things. Alpine, on the other hand, also has that big dip. They've been continuously bringing this throughout the whole entire year. And Ferrari also has a high downforce wing. Some of these wings are actually from Monaco. The other four that we have is Red Bull, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, and Haas. And for these four wings, same story that I was talking about in the last four wings. It's big downforce wings. I mean, that Red Bull wing is humongous, and as you can see, the little new side pods. I'm going to talk about them more. This picture does not do it justice at all. You gotta see these things for yourself. Extremo to the max. It's amazing looking. And the Aston Martin bringing a huge rear wing, which I think is the exact same rear wing from Monaco. And I thought they were going to add a couple of revisions to it. Doesn't seem like they have. I'll have to get a couple of better pictures of it, but the actual Aston Martin wing that they brought in Monaco was a different revised wing with a couple of little things that gave it a little bit more downforce. So I'd like to see if they bring that back, and it really could go to their strong suits on this track. Now, as for Alfa Romeo and Haas, I mean, I can talk about them, but will we see them in the points? I don't think so. Let's be honest. The Alfa Romeo car is said to be bringing a lot more upgrades, though. And as for AlphaTauri and Williams, AlphaTauri has brought a huge upgrade, and that is Daniel Ricciardo. That is the biggest upgrade they are going to get throughout the whole entire year. So let's see him perform here in Hungary. I'm excited to see their big upgrade package. Can it perform? Now going into all the new parts that have all came here. So first thing we got is this Alpine wing. Now this Alpine front wing actually looks pretty, I gotta say it. Alpine has brought probably like 15 front wings this year. It is pretty crazy to see how many front wings they've brought, and still they have not gained that much time. But it looks like they're trying to optimize the package that they have while bringing these types of front wings. The last front wing was very focused on as little front or back flap as possible, and then this one has its third part of the wing even more profound. So I guess they're trying to find the right balance for these wings to really get the most out of their package. And it's cool to see what they're bringing, but it is different to any other team on the grid. And as we go more and more into the top team, which is Red Bull, you'll see that they brought a front wing upgrade, and that their front wing is what I think most teams are trying to copy or go along that line. Nobody is really going along this, let's bring more drag to the car. And then I just wanted to pull up this picture of the three side pods that we have, really the kind of slide pods that were going. I mean, into the season, it was Alpine and it was Aston Martin that had the slide pods, and they were both done a bit differently. Now when you look at them, I mean, that McLaren is a practical carbon copy of what is the Aston Martin slide pod, but they all have their different philosophies. I mean, Alpine's is the least amount of slide. It's done in a different fashion, and even separated in a couple different parts in comparison to the other two that are just one solid piece. But yes, this is just showing you how much more different they look, and still the Aston Martin seems like the most upgraded out of the three. Has it been performing the best? I mean, I guess we'll see. On a track like this is where their real strengths come out, so this is where I think we'll see that Aston Martin real package step it up. With the whole wing, the whole side pod, really the whole 9 yards as we say, this is where it will step up. Okay, here is that Mercedes rear wing that I was talking about. Now, it's not much different on paper, but it is lighter. It is their Monaco wing. As I was saying, some teams have brought their Monaco style wing. This is the Monaco without the street walls. That is always what it has been called, and that is, I think, what the type of name it's going to stick with it for a long time in the Hungarian. So this, they brought it, it's a lot lighter looking, and if you look on that outer edge of the wing, it is a different type of flap going into it, more traditionally towards what Red Bull is, and it's not that real boxed off wing part that they used to have. So I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make. It's just going to shred drag in a different type of way. So, I mean, it can only help them. But yeah, a little small change done to that rear wing. Here is the Ferrari new wing that we were also talking about. And while there isn't much change, it's more traditional now. And they just said that they are very much focusing on the balance of the car, and upgrades will be almost coming to a halt for this car. This was just announced and just talked about, and this was Frederick Vasseur's words, that the car will now be worked on in a different fashion. It will be more worked on towards putting balance in the car, not really focusing too much onto upgrades in specific parts, because the actual balance of the car is not correctly really set up in a simulator as it is in real life right now. And that is something that they want to focus on going forward. Here is another picture, a more close-up picture showing how they've brought up the flaps on the upper parts. This is supposed to bring more downforce towards the front of the actual Ferrari car. I mean, they have the rear downforce, they don't have the front, but this is to more stabilize the car and bring that balance. So hence why we got a different front wing after practically getting one a couple of races ago. So yes, they wanted to bring this for more stability in the car and just bring out that overall balance throughout the whole entire SF23, I guess, Evo. Okay, before we get into the Red Bull upgrades, I wanted to thank you guys. Genuinely, you guys are the best, and anybody that's not subscribed, please do. I try my best on this channel, and you guys support the best, so thank you all so much for support and love. It really does mean the world for me. Anybody that's not, please hit the like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. It would mean the world. Okay, let's get into the Red Bull upgrades. I mean, look at this front wing. Not much different, but it is the first part of a two-parter in our Red Bull upgrades. It's yet again going for the more traditional, less drag on the car. They're just wanting, the front wing is doing such a great job at that Red Bull camp at really just promoting the airflow to go under the floor or go straight into its undercut. It's one of the least loaded wings on the grid, and it's just performing so much better than anybody else. They have the downforce, they have exactly the amount of drag that they need, they have that good drag that I was talking about in my last video. I mean, this Red Bull car is just it really is just a beauty, and anything they bring to the car, you know, it's just going to add another few tenths to it. So yes, a less loaded front wing again brought to this Red Bull car, even more than we've seen throughout the whole entire season. Here is the first image comparing these extremely insane side pods. Now, I mean, it's really the radiators where it's going into. Look at how much skinnier this car is now. It is so much skinnier, it is done in so much of a different fashion, but a lot of different things come out of the side pods being done like this. The first and obvious thing being, obviously now, the top part of the side pod is a little bit wider. But what has been the biggest thing that we have talked about all season with Red Bull? What has made their car stand out to others that others really cannot get onto the grid? It is that profound undercut. It will now be done in a different fashion. First, I want to show you a comparison of the three. These were the three, I guess, side pods we've gotten throughout the year for Red Bull. In Baku, they brought that version 2 as to what made it wider, also made the undercut more profound. The first, obviously, launch spec was the smallest of them all, and now it's just even more wider, and the undercut that we're going to be getting is even more significant, but done in a different way because of it being a wider inlet. It will promote a lot more airflow going under the car and making that rear even more stable. I mean, this is what it's supposed to do, and obviously the Red Bull already has probably the best rear by far on the grid. It's not even a challenge. So bringing a side pod upgrade like this is just going to promote airflow to go even more under into that undercut rather than it going over the top. And a lot of teams really screwed up this year going over the top. I mean, we saw what happened to Ferrari, we saw what happened to really Haas in the tire shredding. Now, yeah, Red Bull is doing it in a different fashion with this side pod upgrade. The skinniness that it shows and just how much more this is going to bring to its actual profound undercut, it's going to be able to bring more performance and more downforce in an efficient way. That front wing in alignment with this was made specifically for this, I guess, side pod upgrade. They brought them hand in hand because the two parts match up together as to where the airflow is going to be going throughout the car. So I expect these upgrades to work. I mean, we know how Red Bull is, and this is insane to see. They just make their car look more and more aggressive. I love that. I gotta say the Red Bull car has gotta be one of the best looking cars on the grid. Now, while this might actually It might actually hinder them in some types of ways, though, if it does not work in the correct fashion, because with this, they're going to be getting a lot less airflow going to their real gearbox and engine, so will that hurt them, especially on a track that can be very hot and very tire reliant? Could this actually come to bite them in the butt? Let's check it. Let's see. I mean, they have been very good on reliability. Let's not lie. Come on. I mean, it's been one race, I think, that actually Sergio Perez had to retire from unreliability, but they have been reliable in every single race. And I know that we had in Jeddah, obviously, the incident of Max not finishing qualifying, but that is one time. That is one time. This car has been amazing on its reliability, and I think it's going to continue to be that way, considering what the car has been through, and they have still more engine components to really give out to, so I don't think they are worried in the slightest. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm excited to see what Hungary brings. Please be subscribed for this weekend content. I'm excited to cover it for you. I think we're going to see a very interesting Grand Prix. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.